Shut up and sit down.
Hi, Sharon, thought I'd give you a ring. It crossed my mind, so now I'm wondering if you're not settled in. You might like to meddle in some adrenaline pumping, pedaling.
Oh, dolls, I thought you'd never ask. I'd love to get my hand behind some handlebars.
You are listening to another episode of the Dialed Podcast with Matt Legrand, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von Turing. The guys blabber on about themselves, talk to someone else about some stuff, and finish by blabbering just a little more. There you go. The show in a nutshell. Tip of the day. Talk does not cook rice. So quit yapping and get to it already.
You can watch me whoosh by on my push back, my tush high and my thighs bumping away. Seems like a sweet deal. Less than 3 wheels, yet I still steal the show from your Camry. On my bicycle, like was icicle. But now I'm cruising with the grace of a manta ray. Run the whole game from my own lane. Hail or rain off the chain. Yeah, you know that I'm a cycler.
Going round, 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 round. Going round, 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 round.
I immediately regret this decision.
Hi, and welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I'm Jake Von During, and I'm here with the saddle sore of the Dial Podcast, Lance friggin'
Saddle
Heppel.
sore of the Dial Podcast.
Lance friggin' Hepler coming taint at you. No, that didn't work.
It was close enough.
Okay.
Taint better never
And
say
I,
that again.
and I taint the saddle
Let
sore
me tell you.
of the Dial Podcast.
Let me just say, I have used a hand mirror and stared at my taint way too much this week.
Are you hurting?
Wait,
do you have a
my.
bad spot?
I have a saddle sore. I'm nursing. Yes, it has not been pretty. We'll get into it.
I had one of those like right before the Seattle to Portland ride, and I was like, oh crap. Like I think I've only had like one in my entire life, and it was right before a 200-mile ride.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Let's
Yep.
talk more. Let's talk more about that.
To Hepler's right.
Presenting your Royal Highness, Sir Ian Gibson.
Hey, Ian Gibson.
So good.
If you're not going
Morning from your pseudo-knighted token British guy. Hi.
last but not least, Mr. Matt Legrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys look taintastic. You do.
Well
you
now.
do.
Well now.
Truer words have never been
Never
spoken.
been spoken.
You guys, it's the tour.
It's the tour.
It's tour time.
But before we get to that, let's do a quick back pedal.
Back pedal.
Back pedal.
I can't
and-
do anything quick with the back pedal.
No, you can't. Should we start with you then?
No, don't start.
Whatever
with
you do.
guys.
I always go first.
Go for
Go.
it, Matt.
I've been coaching up a storm. So in years past, the past like 11 years of coaching cross country, I've always done, we do like 3 summer practices, and we have like 3 coaches. So we each kind of take 1 practice per week. Things have changed. We're doing 6 practices per week,
Oh.
and I'm coaching all of them.
What happened to your co-coaches?
They're sometimes showing up.
Matt.
I know.
You were already busy enough, and now you're busier.
But this is something that it's stupid to take on this much work. But it's basically like
You're
whenever
barely getting paid for it.
Oh no. Well, actually the summer part I don't get paid for it at all.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
But we also, in addition to that, added a middle school running club program where we have an additional 50 kids. So we've got 115 kids signed up for cross country for high school, additional 50 kids for this middle school program. It's a madhouse. And it's like we're going extreme on everything. So it's like we have like games that they play
Oh
and
my
like
gosh.
a lot of the days are like wear red, white, and blue, or bring your water guns, or like, and I bring like Otter Pops every day, and just like I'm losing money on coaching by a lot.
Matt is joining us sitting in his super short running shorts because he's going from here
Directly to
to cross country practice.
Yeah. So I may have to duck out
Will you
early.
stand up and show me those beautiful things?
Yeah, hold on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there it is. Look at those white kids. Look at that. All I see
That's
is
a little
white
more than I
thighs.
wanted
There
to
could be
see
some
this morning.
lines. There could be some. I don't have the. You know who like you can actually like tell who's training the best is by looking at their tan lines, and it's not me.
It's not you.
It's not me. Oh, look at those sharp
Mine
lines.
are pretty sharp.
Ian's got some lines. Jake.
A little bit.
Yeah, you could use some work on that, Jake. As long as you don't look like me where there's no lines at all, that's never good. But we've had some good weather.
Yes.
And I haven't been biking a lot, mostly been coaching, but I've been biking like, I don't know, here and there, just a little bit, just to get out there and experience the good weather. It's been good.
Sweet.
Back pedal done.
Gibbo.
Yeah, not much to say really. Just 2 days after my single social interaction of last week, sitting right here in the Dial podcast, I just got sick and came down sick.
Did you get sick from me?
I'm not
should we not have
throwing out
kissed?
any accusations here. I don't.
Without Tom, it would have been better.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. So yeah, there's not been a whole lot going on for Gibbo,
Oof.
basically. But in other years, I would have been really upset about it and sort of freaked out that all my hard-earned training had gone out the window. But this year,
Not a big deal.
not a big deal.
Whether you're first or middle or last, what's important is that you're you.
Yes.
And people can like you just the way you are.
We still like you, Ian.
Helpler.
Yeah, so
You did some stuff.
I did some stuff.
Did some things.
I did the Oregon Trail Gravel Grinder last week, 5 days of gravel stage racing. It was actually my biggest week in volume of the year, which kind of surprised me because I did a pre-ride and some extra rides anyway.
Going into it, you were like, oh, fitness is kind of sliding. I'm not feeling motivated right now.
That's correct.
But when the gun went off, what happened?
Yeah, I couldn't hold it back.
Could not.
Me and Ed Dudlick met to do this kind of together. They only had 3 categories for men. There was a pro and elite field, and then a open men field, which if you were under 45 and not a pro or elite, you were in the open men field. And then the 45 to 59 field. I guess there was a 60-plus field, too.
Should have been
The
there.
60-plus field had like 50 people in it, which was for a 5-day stage race. Anyway, I have hundreds of stories I can tell. I'm going to save some of them for next week or somewhere.
Did you pay any of the pro athletes to duck some of your KOMs, your Strava KOMs?
I tried. Okay, so
There's a random question I'm just asking.
Day 2 ended on this 8-mile gravel section near Oak Ridge, Oregon, that I held the KOM on that I got like 7 months ago. And so I went to Pete Stetna and I tried to pay him off to disrupt the group.
He took the money.
He did take the money. I gave him a $10 bill. I gave him a $10 bill and said, Pete, I have the KOM. Can you please disrupt the group so that I keep my KOM? And he laughed and took the money, and it was pretty funny. So guess where I am out on the KOM list now?
I'm going to guess 8th.
53rd.
So close.
So close.
So close.
That's not as good as my 55,000th on Sacalobra in Mallorca.
It's not. So, yeah, it was 350 miles of racing. It was almost 30,000 feet of climbing. I started off day 1 thinking, I'm not going to really kind of go for it. But then the whistle blows, and it was like, I'm going to hang on to the front group as long as possible, which lasted like 20 miles because it was flat to rolling. And so I held on with the pros for the first like 20 miles. Me and Ed were both doing it. And then we both looked at each other and went, what the F are we doing? This is the first hour of a 20-hour race. And so we both backed off. But I think I ended up 25th in my category on day 1. So in the 45 to 59-year-olds, I ended up 25th
Out of
100 maybe? I think it was 100. I'm not exactly sure. And so it cracks me up. My time, 25th in the old guy group, if I had been an open men, I would have been 5th.
Wow.
So there were all these fast old guys that, were, it was just crazy how many fast old guys there were. So it was pretty crazy. I think I may have talked about this a little bit. Day 2 was also fairly hard. They were all like 4 to 5 to 6 hours of racing every day. But on day 2, there was quite a bit of climbing, gorgeous, beautiful The routes were just fantastic. We had great weather. It was like 75 degrees every day. It wasn't hot. We didn't get rained on. It was just like fantastic. But on my gravel bike, I have a dropper seat post, which helps me tremendously on the descents. I should note that I was generally in the top 10 of the descents every day, including the 40 pros.
Yeah.
I was descending as fast as the pros. I was pretty proud of that.
You should be.
But my dropper seat post started making a whole bunch of noise on day 2. And when I got to the end...
Which one is it? Which dropper seat post do you have?
I have a reverb, a SRAM reverb.
Yeah.
So it's a wireless dropper seat post. Really easy to set up and put in. But when I finished, the collar that holds the dropper seat post together had completely come loose. So the collar had come up, and the seat post was rattling around in there.
Oh.
And that's what was making all the noise.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah. So I couldn't figure out what was going on because I didn't stop actually during the race.
Of course not.
It's just like it's noisy, but it's still working, so I'm just going to keep going. So I finish, and there's a shim that fits down in there, and I had completely warped, almost destroyed the shim. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've just ruined my seat. And I went to like the guys who were
the mechanics,
and says, "Can you fix this?" And he laughed at me.
He's like, "No."
He's like, "No, I can put a regular seat post in there." And I'm like, "Okay." So I went back to the van by myself and fixed it myself.
Did you make your own shim?
I was able to retweak the shim and reshape it so that I could get it in, and then I lubed it up real good and put it back together. But our local SRAM rep was actually at the race as well.
What's his name again?
His name's Derek.
Derek, okay, yeah.
And so he was actually as another mechanic.
He's a mechanic. I thought he might be racing.
He wasn't. He was there as like SRAM support,
Yeah.
like another mechanic, which was great. And I went to Derek and said, this is what happened. I put it back together. And he's like, "Do you want me to just like take it apart and lube it right and put it back together?" I'm like, "Dude, that'd be great." So he did. So he had my bike for a couple hours. He put it back together. It was working great. So I jumped on the bike and I'm like, "Oh, this is working. This feels great."
This is which day?
This is the start of day 3.
Okay.
And start of day 3 was the whole reason I went to the camp in the first place, because it was an enduro stage day, which meant there was a 5-mile flat time trial.
Okay.
And then And then you soft pedal to the start of this climb. Then there was a 4-mile uphill gravel time trial. Yeah. And then there was a 3-mile downhill.
Which is the one thing that you cared about. Yeah.
Which is the one thing I cared about. And so I hop on my bike, and I noticed that my seat was a little bit lower. But I didn't want to mess with it right then. I didn't even think it would be
right, because it's a dropper post.
It's a dropper post. I'm going to adjust anyway.
Yeah.
But my seat, when it was up all the way, was about a 1/4 inch lower, and so I didn't think much of it. I do those 3 stages. By the way, I almost won the downhill time trial. It was a 3-mile downhill time trial. I did it in just over and it was a very primitive road with hard corners and washed out corners.
The race organizers need to rethink that. It's gonna happen. People are just gonna wash out and get destroyed.
Nobody crashed or nobody had a problem.
It's like looking forward. You just know that they're gonna get sued.
It was actually a road that had been overgrown and hadn't been in use for years.
Yeah.
And Chad went through and cleared the road for the downhill time trial. So removed boulders, cut down all the fall trees. Ooh. They cleared the road, which is kind of crazy. But anyway, I ended up 8th overall, just behind all the pros. I even beat...
Is that overall or just the descent?
No, just the descent
stage, right?
Just the descent stage.
And 8th overall, not your age group.
Not my age group. I won my age group by
a lot, yeah.
By 40 seconds or something. I even beat Carl Decker and Michael Vandenham and a whole bunch of cyclocross pros and a bunch of gravel pros. I beat a whole bunch of them on the downhill. So I was pretty proud of myself.
How, was it just straight downhill?
No.
Didn't you say, how far did you say it was?
It was 3 miles.
3 miles.
Corners, weird, scary corners.
You had to put out power.
Potholes.
In between.
Yeah.
In between the kamikaze.
You just have a healthy lack of a sense of self-preservation.
Yes,
Correct.
That's exactly what it is.
I have
you
a lack of
You have made a deal
self-preservation.
with God.
Yes. If I die on a downhill, I had it coming.
Yes.
That's what's going to happen. So anyway, after I get done, I notice my butt doesn't feel right. It kind of hurts a little bit.
Okay.
And
Let's save that clip. Save that. Save that clip, please. We'll reuse that.
So the shorter seat post had caused a saddle sore. So I haven't had a saddle sore in a decade.
Right.
I can't remember.
But you're sitting on things wrong.
I'm sitting on things wrong, and I'm not thinking about it. I'm just going for it because it's these like 18-minute efforts, right?
You probably don't use any chamois cream or anything.
No,
Right.
I hardly ever do.
Yeah.
But
Because your undercarriage is just an old leathery piece
it's
of...
like a baseball glove.
a well-used baseball glove.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So clearly that's not the case because I just ripped that sucker open down there.
I hope you're all right, man.
So anyway, 2 days of like 6 hours of racing each day I still had to do. And oh my gosh, my butt was
hurting.
not good. So I've been kind of fighting that since then. I've had to
You could take a day off of biking.
I did. I took like 3 days off.
Did you?
Yeah.
Probably helped.
It did help. I'm
when you're watching the
freeballing
tour,
around the
do you
house.
just sit around with your legs up and a fan on your ass?
I sit in my backyard like spread eagle
Yeah.
in the sunshine.
Wasn't there like some funny like meme about sunning your anus or something like that?
I don't know.
There's something.
It's good for your soul.
Maybe someone was like saying that. I feel like they were like claiming that that's like who I was. Like you're always. I don't know. I got given a hard time about this.
I don't know if you guys saw this, but on the Move, which is Lance Armstrong,
podcast.
his podcast, Matteo Jorgensen came on yesterday.
Wow.
And Matteo crashed on day something of the tour.
Yeah.
And he came on and he FaceTimed in and he had his iPhone he was using to FaceTime and it was in vertical mode. And he's sitting at a table with a bowl of ice cream in front of him, and he's completely naked.
Oh.
He comes on completely naked because
As you do.
Because he has road rash from his crash. He has road rash on his butt, on his side, all on his elbow, on his shoulder. And so he's sitting there. I don't think when he came on, he quite realized how much he almost flashed everybody because the bowl of ice cream was just perfectly placed. So
No, he 100% did that on purpose. He knew exactly what he was doing.
It was
Let's
really
see what we can get
freaking
away with
hilarious.
here. Yeah. Well played.
So anyway,
He's doing okay.
Yeah,
He's doing
Matteo's
okay.
doing great.
He had a even though he had that crash, he had a good time trial after that.
he moved into the top 10 after
Yeah.
the time trial.
I want to say he's like 7th.
He was like
or-
7th in the
Yeah,
time trial.
That's good.
Anyway, we're not talking about Matteo. We're talking about me.
Yeah, good point.
Okay, so
The other top American.
yeah, they're tough.
Anyway,
Yeah. So I did the next 2 stages. I actually got stronger as it went on. I ended up placing like 12th on the last day, which was the most technical and difficult day.
Wow. So you had an 8th place finish and a 12th place finish.
And a 25th place finish.
Dang.
And yeah, so
So you got to be happy with that.
I'm happy. It went really well.
You had fun.
I never crashed. I had fun. I just ripped my taint open. That
You got to
was
fix
it.
that seat post.
We already
done that.
fixed it. Yeah, it's all good. I actually flatted on the last day because there were some nasty, rocky downhills that I was just ripping.
Was it sharp?
Sharp rock?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It cut the tire, but I stopped, put 2 plugs in it, hit up the CO2, and it held the rest
Did you
of the day.
have a cush core type thing?
I did.
Okay.
Yep. So I did have inserts in it,
So
which helped.
So
quite
even
a
if
bit.
you like slice your tire, you're okay for a little while.
Yeah. So, what, Hatfield? Yes. However, Ed kicked my ass.
Did he really?
Yes. Both of us went in to not, without like any aspirations on it.
Yeah.
But by day 4, at the end of day 4, Ed was in 6th place for overall for GC for the open men. And we started the last day, like, we just kind of looked at each other and said, look, if we feel good, let's just go.
Did you guys work together at all?
We did quite a bit.
Good.
But he knew he had to make up 14 minutes to make the podium in GC on the last day if he was going to have a shot to make the podium. Guess what Ed did?
He just went berserk.
He made up like 17 minutes on the last day, and he leapfrogged 3 guys.
How long was the last day?
It was 5 hours of racing.
That's his bag, man. That's his game. He loves just long gravel stuff, I think.
And it was really technical, and he had mountain bike tires on his gravel bike.
Oh.
Yeah. So it made a big difference. He outdescended me on every descent that day because he had these big giant tires on, and he just drew it back, took second place on the stage, just 10 seconds behind the winner, and made up so much time that he ended up making the podium.
Wow.
It's so interesting to think about,
Ed
like tire choices and width of tires. Like that to me is like a very interesting subject matter, and I almost feel like we're going super wide, and we could go wider. Like it's just very interesting to me, like that concept of like we're not going to lose that much by going big.
Interestingly enough, the other stages, smaller tires were more favorable.
Really?
So, yes.
So it was the last stage.
It was the last day that was so rough. And most people didn't realize how rough the day was going to be. But we know Carl Decker, and we said, Carl Decker, what do you think? And he's like, put the biggest freaking tires you can fit on your bike for tomorrow. It is gnarly. And we're like, oh, I should put
And
the
you
biggest
rode
tires.
your
I rode
Envy?
my Envy Mog. Yeah, but I only had 42s on. That was as big as tires as I had. I did flat on the last day, but it turned out okay. So super kudos to Ed. We had another teammate out there, Tracy Elwine, who was racing in the Masters Women category. She crushed every day and ended up taking second in GC.
Second or third.
Second or third.
But she won the Queen stage.
She did.
Good on her. I mean,
Yeah.
she put back a bunch of time, so that got her on the podium.
Yep, she pulled back a whole bunch of time on the second to last day. The second to last day was very hard. It was 85 miles, but 9,000 feet of climbing. So
how was the atmosphere outside of the
brilliant,
race? Outside of
so
the race
much
itself?
fun.
Yeah.
It was just you're camping, you're hanging out, you're having a conversation with Ian Boswell, and sitting there with Ben
I saw
Delaney.
something about him going down a slide with his kid or something.
I caught a video of him going down the slide.
Did your
with
wife
his
go
kid.
also?
My wife went. She had. We brought our dog.
Good.
We just had a phenomenal week. It was really fun. That is an incredible event. It kicks your ass. The racing is hard, but oh my gosh, it is gravel summer camp is really
Right.
what it is. So too much fun. Anyway,
It's interesting. What was that noise?
I don't know. But
Oh, you know what? That's me. That's my computer. My bad.
anyway, so I had a great time. Our teammates did great. I had fun with other Ober members. We ended up hanging out most of the week and like fighting each other for position.
Is this the shirt?
This is one of the shirts they gave us. They gave us a couple shirts and a couple pairs of
Ooh.
socks and like
Nice.
and a
How much does the event cost?
It's just over $1,000
Oh, that's pricey.
because it's 5 days,
Yeah.
which includes camping and all your food, all your meals.
Oh, okay.
For all 5 days and transitions, but from camp to camp because it's point to point.
Yeah, Lance and I were talking about this on a ride the other day. Yes, it's expensive, but then when you start to actually break it down and look at what everything costs and how much you get for that, that's actually a pretty good value.
Yeah, but you granted that you get a lot and there's value there and it's probably worth every penny and they probably couldn't charge less. However, dropping $1,000 for, like you think about athletes that are younger or whatever their like life scenario is just not realistic.
Yeah.
It's hard, yeah.
Just to put it into perspective, though, even if you were just to go by yourself, if you went on vacation for a week, if you factor in like maybe a flight, factor in hotel and food and a rental car and maybe seeing and doing some things, it's kind of a deal. It's kind of a bargain. If you ask me, but
No, I'm not saying that
again,
they should change. I'm not suggesting that they change prices or anything like that, but I think maybe, and they probably already do this, where they like, hey, if you're a certain age, we want to help you out. Like, I don't know, like just something to help out people that aren't able to spend $1,000.
That I wholeheartedly agree with.
Because if they're already taking vacation time away from work, travel, all that stuff, it's like, that's all going to be tricky for a
There's a
certain
limit.
type of athlete.
They can only handle so many people. So like 400 athletes is like the max because they're transferring all your gear from point to point every day. plus all the race. So it's everything with racing plus a bike tour. It's all the logistics of all those things. We had hot showers every night. We had all the food we could eat. There was an open bar every night. There were s'mores around campfires.
You must
every
have gotten
night.
wasted every night.
Dude, licked. so it was just, I mean, it's just, plus you're mingling with
and it's 400 people and you're mingling with the pros.
You're mingling with the pros.
It's cool.
I got to know Pete Setna's mechanic really well.
Did they?
Big Tall Wayne.
Were they racing, gunning for it, or?
Oh yeah, they were going for it. This was part of the Gravel Earth series.
Okay.
This year, which is a different
series than like Lifetime.
Yeah, but because they coupled with Gravel Earth series, there were like 20 Euro pros that came over just for the race. A bunch of French athletes, a bunch of Swedish athletes. There was a whole bunch of athletes that came over. There was 7 or 8 Lifetime Grand Prix fitness athletes that came to do the race because it was part of this series. So that's
awesome.
Legit. It was very cool. It was very fun. I'm sorry. I could talk a lot about this, so I'm going to stop. We're hoping to bring on the race promoter either next week or the week after,
cool.
Chad Sperry, and have him here with us so that we can talk about the race and what it was like and what went on. And
he's putting on some really good events too.
Dude.
And you were telling me about another event, a new event that he's got on the calendar.
He's got
for
a
this
new
year?
event on the calendar called the Last Grizzly Race or something like that. It's on the border of Utah and Idaho. It goes from northern Utah to southern Idaho, from the Huntsville, Ogden area up to Bear Lake. So they're trying to put that on in September.
Sweet.
So adding another race to the calendar.
Sweet.
Anyway, enough about me. I had a blast. I ripped some things open. I tore some legs off. I descended way too fast. I scared some people. That was it.
Cool. For me, last week I got in just shy of 9 hours, so the trajectory is still on pace. Still adding a little bit of volume every single week, which is good.
Are you now keeping some of your Strava rides private? Or?
I'm not posting up the stuff I'm doing on the trainer.
Okay.
So why are you like?
No,
these just don't add up.
No, because I was kind of getting worried again, thinking, oh no, I don't see anything of Jake this week. So.
So I did. We went camping. So we were supposed to leave this past Sunday, so almost a week ago, and my wife ended up being sick, and so we kind of pushed back a day, and then we were supposed to leave early on Monday. But anyway, we were supposed to leave, and then I'm like, oh, it doesn't look like we're going to go. So I ended up getting on the bike at like 7 o'clock at night and rode for a couple hours and didn't get home until 9 o'clock at night, but still perfectly sunny out, which is fine. And then I'm like, all right, well, we're going to go up to Lost Lake because that's where we're going camping, and I'm going to get some rides in up there. So I took multiple kits. Like originally I'd packed 3 kits. I'm going to ride all 3 days. I'm going to get up there on Sunday. I'm going to ride Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then we're coming home on Wednesday. So I didn't get to ride up there on Sunday. So I still had 3 kits packed. Okay, that's fine. Extra kit. Maybe I'll squeeze in something else. Maybe I'll do a double or something like that. We're supposed to leave Monday morning pretty early so that we can get up there and have the day, because it takes a little bit of time to set up camp. We've got the whole thing down to a process, but we ended up leaving late because my wife wanted to sleep in. And again, no shade at my wife. I mean, she's sick, so like I'm just trying to be like helpful. So I'm loading everything. I'm doing everything by myself, and like we were just kind of slow getting going, and we didn't actually get out of town until like 12:30. I'm like, dang it. I'm like, I know it takes us like an hour and a half to set up camp, and there's a few other things going on, but we got up there like, I don't know, like 2:30, 1:30 or 2 or something like that. And then you spend like an hour and a half or something like that usually setting up camp. Well, because my wife wasn't feeling well, she was having to sit down and take breaks. So I ended up doing a lot of it by myself. And so it took longer, right? And then as soon as I'm done, it's like 4:30 and I'm like, oh, I can go for a ride. But then I'm like, oh crap. My kids just showed up because they drove up separate. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to make dinner for everybody. And I can't be gone for a couple hours and come back at 7 o'clock and have everybody pissed at me because I didn't make dinner. So anyway, long story short, another day wasted because I'm making dinner and it's too dark, too late to all the things. And so I'm like, all right, well, I've got 3 kits. How am I going to make this happen? Can I squeeze 3 rides in over 2 days or a day and a half? That didn't happen. Everybody was slow to get up the next day, and I'm like, I wanted to go on the lake and go fishing, but I again had to make breakfast for everybody. And I don't know if this is not cycling specific, but anyway, I'm like, crap. So I'm like, I'll ride this evening, and I'll work it in between going fishing and making dinner so that I can make this work. I finally got on the water. It was like 12:30 or 1 o'clock because I like to do stand-up paddleboarding and I like to go fishing. So I've actually got like little outriggers that attach to my supboard. It's beautiful. And so I went out there and finally like got a line in the water. It's about 1 o'clock and there's some other guys. I'm like, this is the absolute wrong time of the day. Like you're supposed to be out here in the morning and in the evening to do your fishing. Like, oh yeah, the bites kind of calmed down a little bit. And these guys are showing me the stringer. It's just full of these massive trout. I'm like, dang it. And he's like, yeah, good luck. They'll probably start biting again by like 3 or 4 o'clock. Maybe you can hang out for a while. I'm like, we'll see.
See, that's where you just got to pick some fish up from the supermarket on your way out there.
Well,
and then you got more time to ride.
There you go. Well, here's the problem. I started fishing at 1 o'clock. I stopped keeping track of how many fish I caught at about 20. It was nonstop. I just was killing it dead out there. I ended up being on the water for like 3.5 hours and finally like come rolling back in and my wife's like, where have you been all this time? I'm like, they wouldn't stop biting. I couldn't stop fishing. I'm sorry. So I kept like the best 7, got them all cleaned up and filleted and all that other stuff. And we went back to the campsite and it's about 4:30 and I'm like, well, so much for that ride because I got to make dinner again. And it's a whole process. And so the morning that we're supposed to leave, I'm going to get up and go and kids leave early. So I've got to break down camp myself. I'm like, Dad. So we ended up packing things up and I ended up hightailing it home and ended up getting a ride in finally home. So I took 3 kids to do 3 rides up at the lake and did 0, but I did catch a bunch of fish.
That happens to me all the time where, and the other part that sucks is like you pack all the stuff and you're like, well, I didn't even use any of this stuff. Why did I bring it? Why did I pack it? But yeah, you got family time in.
Yeah, it was good.
Value there.
There is definitely value there. But for this week, I'm sitting at about 4.5 hours, but we're going to go ride today. We're going to go do a 100K.
100K ride?
60-ish miles or so. And that'll probably take us about 3.5 hours somewhere in there. So that'll get me up to, a fair amount. And then I've got to ride tomorrow. So if I play my cards right, I should be able to get in about 10 hours this week. So
that's what we're shooting for.
We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. So
nice.
This has been Fishing Talk. Anywho, enough of that stuff. Champ, are we going to have Champ come in?
Which lake were you on? I know you probably already mentioned this, but I missed it.
Lost Lake.
Okay.
No, Champ's on vacation. We're moving straight
to Tour Talk.
Well, I was wondering if Champ was going to be here, and maybe like Ron Burgundy and Brick Tamlin and Brian Fontana,
the whole team,
the whole gang, and we could talk about the tour.
Team New 6, or whatever it is. San Diego News 6.
Yeah. So
Champ Bailey.
All right, Champ Bailey, kind of here, kind of not.
Champ is not
in spirit, but anyway. The Tour de France is going on, and we just got done watching Stage 8.
We just watched Stage 8 together. We watched the finish of it.
Yeah.
What did you think of Stage 8? Was that the most boring stage?
No.
I mean, there was a great sprint, but I feel like it was...
And the last 20 seconds were fantastic. The rest of it was... we could catch up on personal issues.
Yeah, right?
The last couple stages have been relatively flat and relatively boring. They've even commented on this while watching it. Like, sorry that this isn't all that exciting to watch.
First flat stage from a couple of days ago, there was not even a breakaway.
No.
I don't think there was a single breakaway. They went through kilometer 0 and nothing happened.
Yeah, there was a couple times where some people kind of kicked it up a notch just because there was a little bit of a crosswind and they were just looking for some ideal positions. But after that settled down, it just went right back to normal.
There's been some like close calls for Pogačar on crashes. Like
dude, that barrier, how did he keep that upright?
It looked like that barrier with him squeezing in, it kind of looked like he caused the crash behind him. But it's also hard to tell because it might have been a few riders behind that, but it was just like whatever it was, the riders were not ready for that barrier.
It was brilliant what he did. That he missed that.
Yeah, locked up both wheels and made it somehow, got around it. But.
So you guys want to talk about today's stage and then kind of recap what's happened to date, and then
so today Abramson, who's in the polka dot jersey, goes off the front at kilometer zero. There were like 7 categorized climbs today where they were all short. They were all 4s and 3s, and he went off the front solo,
which
just to get all those points. Those points.
Yeah,
we got them all.
In the polka dot jersey, he's the current leader of the KOM, the King of the Mountains jersey. What's interesting about him is how much he weighs.
Oh, really?
He's in the 170 pound-ish, like 172, 174 pound range.
Which is big for a tour rider.
He put on 20 kilos from last year to this year.
Yeah.
That's
good drugs.
45, 50 pounds.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing,
In
Jake.
one year? He put on 20 kilos?
Something ridiculous. Like he was like like Skeletor, and now he's like in the 170s. So he's put on a ton of. I'm pretty sure it was 20 kilos.
sounds
I'll
like
look that
me.
up.
Don't be suspicious.
That's like me at Thanksgiving.
That's a different type of intake.
It's not working though for me.
It's all muscle for
for him.
Yeah.
Mine was not all muscle.
It's an interesting story, though. I mean, GC Hen did an episode all about him last week. Not sure if you saw that, but the idea that as a tour contender you can put on that much weight and be more competitive, that's an interesting story in itself.
I think muscle is valuable. And I think a lot of times people think about this, like especially we think about this a lot with running, where it's like, oh, I don't want to put on muscle. Yeah, you do. It's just hard. You can't really gain that much muscle unless drugs are involved.
Yeah,
Typically,
I mean,
it's hard to put on that much weight.
Right.
When
You're
gaining
still
muscle.
lean. You're not carrying excess fat, but
Right.
but muscle mass is something. But also, I would think he's just more less prone to illness, just
Yes,
feeling better,
maybe.
has more
Right.
energy. I don't know.
He doesn't look like a skeleton.
Yeah.
Skeletor body is
like-
a dangerous place to be, right?
But you know
Vigo
that-
looks
that-
like skeleton.
That KOM, that polka dot jersey, especially in the first week or the first week and a half of a tour, is kind of a weird thing. I always
It is.
think that
Agreed.
It's up for grabs.
it is, and it's more like a breakaway jersey. If you can
Yes.
get in and do like what he did today and just be in the break, 9 times out of 10, the people in the break with you will gift you that KOM because then you're the only one interested in it.
Yes.
And so you're the most consistent about getting over these smaller climbs for sure, but
Abramson,
not really the best climber.
he's not going to hang in the
Right.
big mountain stages when those happen. But those don't happen for like 6 more stages.
Well, so that's what it is, right? He's the polka dot jersey from now until we
Stage
start doing
14
some mountain.
or stage
Yeah.
15.
Did
He will hold it till
He didn't
then.
figure over the Galibier, right? Was he up there? I can't remember.
He had to have been somewhere in the mix, but I don't remember
Yeah.
where he was.
We didn't score any points.
No.
I don't think so. I don't think he scored points.
Yeah.
It's all over once they start racing the mountains.
But even if he's in a break of 4 or 5 or 6 riders, usually they'll just let the
Well,
polka dot jersey.
There's
Yes,
some
they'll let him go.
dealing
Run
and
over
stuff
first.
going on, right?
Yeah.
Like if he's being, I'm sure if he's taking his turns and stuff like that,
Yeah.
that they're going to let
Then
him
it's
have
all
it.
good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway,
Going back to Aberson, here's his quote. I felt like I hadn't progressed in my career as I was hoping for. And to do something to be better, I know my muscle, again, this is kind of a little bit broken English. I know my muscle to do better when they got more fuel. Again. So I started more fuel. I gained some weight, 20 kilos. And after that, I'm feeling stronger every year. So anyway, that was his quote. And 20 kilos is a lot.
My gosh.
2.2 pounds per kilogram. So like Ian said, it's close to 50 pounds.
and I think he pointed out that that's his body type. Like he's like me, like you, I think, right?
Yeah.
We would just, given the opportunity, given the right exercise and the right diet, you put on muscle mass. And
That's
I
still
think
that's an insane amount of weight for these guys. For a pro cyclist, 50 pounds.
That's a lot.
That's insane.
But still, 172 pounds. That's not heavy.
I think he was probably. I'm just gonna guess that he was over-starving himself,
Beforehand.
under fueling quite a bit,
Yeah.
little excessively, which is probably why he was underperforming in comparison to where he is now. But
Pretty crazy.
still, that's
Anyway, he was off the front till like 15K to go when they finally caught him, and then it was a sprint at the end of stage 8. And interestingly enough, it was not flat. It was a bit of an uphill roll to the top. And Philipson got a decent lead out. Arnold de Lee looked like he was going to do well, but they all got beat by Biniam Girmay. So he wins his second stage today, which is pretty amazing. The craziest thing about it is Philipson jumped and was
had
in
him.
the lead and passed Biniam, and Biniam still was able to
and they both had a clean shot.
resurge.
They both had a clean shot at the finish.
Yes.
and it was like, who's the fastest?
And Biniam got him.
I think so.
So
It was-
Philipson's lost a little bit of a step this year.
or Biniam
so.
is just.
It was not
that much better.
his kind of sprint, though.
If it was
flat, you think?
more flat, it would have been
Yeah.
more. Yeah.
We'll find out.
Got some breaking news here, boys.
Let's hear it.
I passed Lance Hepler in the fantasy cycling.
Son of a biscuit.
Suck it, Hepler. Suck it.
I had Mads Peterson as my sprinter, and he did not start today. That the crash on the Cavendish stage, we'll get there. Mads Peterson crashed on the Cavendish stage 3 stages ago, and he finally was enough.
Was he ashamed of getting bunny hopped? Is that why he didn't start?
That's like the coolest thing that's happened in the tour so far was the bunny hop by Axel Zingel. What a great freaking name.
Yes.
Axel Zingel.
Why have none of us named our kids Axel?
And Zingel as a middle name.
I know.
Axel Zingel Hepler. That's beautiful.
It is a beautiful name. You could change one of your kids' names. Lakes. I feel like Lake. You could
just change it to Zingel.
Axel Zingel.
Axel Zingel.
Yeah.
Yeah, pay off one of your kids when they finally have some grandkids come in the way. Say, hey, Axel.
It needs to be Axel.
Yeah, we got 22 people in our fantasy league, and when I was taking care of business this past weekend, we had this big bikeathon thing. I completely spaced that it was the start of the tour. And in my brain, it was Friday, but it was actually Saturday. And I woke up in the morning in a panic. I'm like, oh my gosh, the tour's on. I'm like, well, crap, I forgot to set my team. So I finished the first day with not setting my roster. And I think Matt did the same thing. So he and I were both tied for dead last.
And I'm still there.
Matt's in 19th place, but
there's 19th out of 18 people.
I've been chipping away, so I just leapfrog Lance, and I'm now in 7th place, and Lance is in 8th.
Gosh dang it!
Giddy up!
I blew it today.
All right, so great finish to the stage today. Not an overly exciting stage to watch. Let's kind of rewind back because we really haven't talked about the tour since the actual tour started. Is there anything notable that you guys want to talk about? Anything?
No, nothing else good.
I think we should talk about who predicted Cav to get the.
I can't remember who said what.
I think I know for a fact that I was like, nope.
I think I said no too. I think
Did all
Ian
of us
said
say no?
yes.
I said yes.
Ian's the winner here
and
today.
Jake just hates Cav. So all we want to find out is what Jake thinks about this brilliant win by Cavendish in stage 5 or whatever it was.
I also think that a lot of us should really eat our words and just be like, you know what? Every time we doubt this guy, he pulls out a victory. Like, can he win another stage? Maybe he can. Like, he looked good. It looked like it didn't look like they gave it to him from what I can tell. My theory was like, oh, are they going to just give him a stage? And it didn't look like that to me when I was really watching the finish line and watching slow motion. It looked like those guys were truly working. He could win another stage.
I think we need to open up a full-on investigation. I want to have full access to all bank accounts, Venmo accounts, PayPal accounts. Like, I want to see who got paid by Cav.
Yeah.
Somebody
It's
paid.
always possible.
That was incredible that he pulled off the win. Nobody really gave him a shot, and he freaking did it. And it was just on his savvy that he was able to do it. He was sitting on Philipson's wheel, and he chose at a moment to jump off Philipson's wheel and go left hard instead of staying on Philipson's wheel, which you would think would be the wheel to be on. Right. I don't know if you watched that last 200 meters, but man, he had to shoulder his way through there a couple of times to hold the wheel.
It was not clean.
It was not clean.
No, but when he swung left there, so yeah, there was some shouldering and stuff, but when he swung left, he looked left before he went. The road was clear, and he just showed experience to me. I mean, that counts for so much. He saw an opportunity and he made those split-second decisions.
Right.
And that comes down to lots and lots of experience.
I think
he was the best sprinter on the day. And the thing that was telling to me that Philipson could not come around him. He was on his wheel. Granted, only another 50 meters left to the line, but he still, after all of that, he still had horsepower to hold off Philipson.
Yes, he did.
It was interesting.
The UCI wasn't happy about that move.
No, they slapped him on the wrist.
He didn't get fined. He didn't get relegated, but they weren't happy about that. And like you said, I mean, he did have the savvy to look over his shoulder. He saw that was free and clear and open, and he took that line. It's a little bit dangerous, but for somebody that's had that many races that finished that way, he knows what he's doing. Don't want to take that away from him. But here's the thing. Like, if somebody else did that and he was in the field, would he get super pissed? Probably.
No, because he didn't impede anybody else's chances. He didn't put anybody
Right.
in danger, and he didn't slow anybody up. I think it was okay. It sounds like I'm biased, but it was legitimate.
I think you're
Definitely.
right. I agree with you. I think there are other parts in the run up to that finish where there was some more shady stuff, more bumping, and the actual sprint part looked fine to me. Looked legit.
Guess what place he took today in the stage?
Oh, how bad was it?
88th.
Oh, wow. Not even close on a sprint
So
stage.
the
That was
next
an uphill sprint.
While
but
we're
yeah.
on the Cav subject, how many of you guys think that he's going to finish the tour, finish it out?
That's a good question. My guess is no, that he won't. I'm surprised he kept going after winning the one, to be honest
here's
with you.
another question. Is he going to go to the Olympics? Is he going to do the road race?
I doubt it.
Doubtful.
I'm not sure, but I doubt it. I think this
they have to
this
pick their
was
team,
it.
right?
Getting win number 35 was it for him. That was the whole focus of the whole thing.
Yeah.
But so that brings up a point. If he bails, that Astana team was built for
Him,
Cav.
right. Yep.
So if he bails, what does the Astana do for the rest
they
of
go
the
for
tour?
they
That
go
first
for
sta-
breakaways.
Yeah, the first stage was super hot. It was rough, and for a long time there, everybody's like, "Oh, is he going to make the cutoff?"
It was cracked.
Close.
Yeah.
the
and
first
it was
day.
like what 10 minutes, and that was the cutoff that he made was within 10 minutes of the finish.
Yeah.
But anyway, long story short, their GC hopeful, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, came back to help chaperone him to keep him within that time.
time cut.
Exactly. So they don't have anything left to gain with respect to the GC, but I mean, they can still go do some stage hunting, and maybe that's part of the
Right.
plan. Is like, all right, Cav's going to drop off because when is the next sprint stage? It's not
don't
for a little bit, right?
Tomorrow is the
gravel
the
stage.
gravel stage.
I feel like there's another flat stage in a couple days.
I'm going to predict he will absolutely go all the way to Nice. This
I think so
this
too.
tour is all about his legacy, and to bow out of the tour early would kind of cast a little bit of a stain on that. I think probably in his mind, and also the fact that
a good point.
that team was built all around him, and out of respect to his teammates, I predict he'll stay in through Nice.
yeah, I think
It's
he'll.
too bad we don't have a Champs-Elysees this year. That would,
Yeah.
with such a stacked sprint field with so many good sprinters there,
Yeah.
they're denied this sort of, it's like the world
Grand finish,
championship
yeah.
of sprinting on the Champs-Elysees.
The next sprint stage is stage 10. So stage 9 tomorrow is a gravel stage. Rest day on Monday, and then Tuesday is another sprint
Okay, so
stage.
that would probably be the last one, right? Are there many sprint stages left? I mean, there might be
No,
one.
there's
the
a
last
couple
one.
more.
There's two more that could potentially happen.
Well,
Only two more.
Anyway,
But I think it really comes
After
down to
that,
like,
so 3 more.
is it disrespectful to drop out of the tour? Does he feel like he
Yes.
needs to finish because this is his grand finale?
Yes.
I
Yeah,
think
both of those
that's why I
things.
think he tries to finish. I think he might struggle. The last 5 days are brutal,
They're so bad.
but I do think that he tries.
but also he's not. He's done what he came to do, so he's not going to risk
absolutely.
it. He's not going to shoot for narrow gaps along the barriers.
Correct.
He's not going to contest for an uphill sprint that he's not strong at. He's just
Which
he's
explains
got
88th
nothing.
today.
Yep.
He's
Yeah.
just like, I'm not.
This is not my.
I'm out.
It's not my thing.
Yeah.
So whether or not I don't know whether he'll score another stage. Perhaps he doesn't have the motivation.
you know who for
And he
sure
showed
would
that.
finish and would probably win a few stages along the way?
Who's that?
Eddie Merckx.
Yeah, well,
Just saying.
Well, I agree with you. There's you can't really compare the two. One's a pure sprinter, and the other was the greatest sort of all around athlete on a bicycle that's ever lived, arguably.
And-
but I will say that to call him the greatest sprinter of all time is fair enough.
I feel like that's fair.
I think somebody that's been as consistent over 16 years.
Yep.
It's a long time.
2008 was
Yeah.
his first
When
Tour de France win.
you think of all the other sprinters of his generation and any sprinter throughout the history of the Tour de France, it's been this bright shining light that fades quickly. That sprinters have 2 or 3 seasons where they're on the top of their game.
True.
I'm thinking about Kittel. I'm thinking about Greipel, Viviani.
Yeah.
All these guys were great. Like Philipsen, had their years. But to do it year upon year upon year, like Cavendish has done, and he doesn't perhaps have the raw horsepower that he used to have. Not as strong. He's much older, 39 years old. But like I said before, that experience to watch him surf those wheels and find the gaps and make those split-second decisions, that's a mark of experience. He is the
greatest of all time.
Sprinter. As a sprinter.
I think that's a fair statement. That's very fair.
There were a couple of really heartwarming moments after he won that just made my skin tingle. But he went up to Pogačar, who was cooling down, on his trainer. When Pogačar saw Cavendish, he immediately jumped off his trainer and came and gave him a hug.
The peloton likes him.
And Cavendish told Pogačar, "Don't beat it." And Pogačar says, "I won't." I think Pogačar has 12 wins at this point. But if you watched, as soon as he finished, all the guys he just out sprinted, Philipsen, Girmay, Groenewegen, Delight, they all patted him on the back and and as soon as he stopped and got off his bike, his chain had come off, by the way.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That was crazy.
So as soon as he stopped and got off his bike, everybody from the peloton went by and either gave him a high five or tried to give him a hug.
Yep.
Man, the peloton loves him.
I know. It kind of makes you realize he's extremely well respected in the peloton, and he paid all those guys off to. So I mean,
he's done some nasty things in sprints, but that's what sprinters do.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
It's what they do. So do these guys all respect that, or do they just respect the fact that he has been able to be one of the best for 16 years?
I think that's the case. I don't know. And we don't know how he acts.
I think that makes his that 35 wins even more remarkable as well, because if you think of all what has he done now, 16 tours?
Yeah.
Maybe not, because he had a couple of years
2 years ago.
But if you add up all the sprinting opportunities in those tours, maybe 5 or 6 stages per tour. That's a big
number.
Percentage of those of the possible wins that he actually did win.
Dominant for a big block of time.
Yeah.
And then he was, and then after that, or even before that too, it's then he was also always in the mix. So it's very interesting if you think about what was it 2 years ago when he won the green jersey. That was insane to have a guy that's been around that long win that many stages and get that many points towards green. I mean, I think it's very fair to say greatest sprinter of all time.
When he won his first tour stage in 2008, he out-sprinted Eric Zabel. Okay?
Yeah, let's go back a way.
Yeah, so he out-sprints Eric Zabel on that first tour stage win. Eric Zabel's son has already retired from pro cycling. So Cavendish is still racing, and Eric Zabel's son already had a whole pro career and retired since then. So that's kind of pretty crazy.
What are the odds of him coming back next year?
0.
I know, right? I think so. Yeah.
Okay, Jake, you need to speak your mind. You've been being awfully quiet here about all the Cavendish talk because we're all loving him up, and I want to hear your thoughts.
We have been nice.
Jij bent een klootzak.
There it is.
I mean, okay, from a pure sports perspective, from a pure all right, this guy's he's an exceptional athlete. He's an exceptional sprinter. He is wicked fast and he is super crafty. I have all of the respect in the world for that. There's just been too many things that he's done off the bike that I don't care for. And I don't care for the crying of and complaining about other people about stuff that has been done to him that he's done to other people and then some. So, it just, you just kind of get a sense for people. And you watch the documentaries, you watch the different things. And I think that you have the Cav who puts it on when he's on a camera, and he's probably for all intents and purposes a great family man. It doesn't seem like there's any discord
kids
at
love
home.
him. He's got 5 kids. His kids love him.
He's got 35 kids.
Yeah. And I do like seeing the videos of him interacting with his kids when he's away and he's training or at a race or something like that. And just seeing him being a good dad, I have all of the respect in the world for that. But there's just been too many things where the guy has been just a complete jackhole to different people. And I don't know. There's that kind of stuff. So that's where I kind of carry my, like, I don't really care for this guy. And I'm starting to kind of develop the same thing for Jasper Philipsen, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know if it's just like editing that, the Unchained, and you hear all these people complaining about him and him kind of like taking risks and putting other people in danger. Like, dude, knock it off. I mean, I get it. We're all like trying to win a stage, but
that's like sprinter mentality.
Yeah, but he's got a little bit of jackalness, arrogance about him that kind of.
But really, it's the same way that we think about any sports person or any celebrity, for that matter. Mm-hmm. You see a few interviews, you see a few documentaries, you form an opinion of these people. You don't know these people. I don't know these people. I have no idea who Mark Cavendish is, but somehow, because he's a celebrity, you sort of
form an opinion.
And you stay with that. So.
Yeah. But that's the thing, is like, that's so human nature that you can't fight that. There's no way. Like, you're either gonna kind of like someone. I mean, I feel like we're with all of these writers, we don't know them. We've never sat down and had conversations with them. But you do. You start to be like, this one is my favorite, and I like this one because they write a certain way. And I think that even probably some people that are part of pro cycling probably have their favorites and things like that without having talked to them. So I get the impression that the peloton does like Cavendish, which I could be wrong. Maybe he's paying him, maybe not. But it seems like he's well respected, which gives me
also when you see those interviews with English speaking riders, you can read more into it. Perhaps if you were French speaking or Italian speaking, you would have your villains and your heroes would be completely different, because you understand all the nuances of what they're saying.
So for Cavendish, though, I'd say for the first half of his career, he was kind of known as a hothead. He was known as being arrogant. He was a little bit of an asshole. Yeah. And and that's kind of when I started watching him.
For his second half of his career.
Well, as he's gotten older, I think he's started to realize that there's more to the sport, there's more to life, there's more to think, and it feels like he's almost calmed down a little bit. And I don't feel like he's quite as spicy with other people. He's not as like outspoken, but because like he honestly thought he was done. What was it, like 5 or 6 years ago?
Yes,
he thought he was done, and like he came off and he was
Epstein-Barr and chronic fatigue. Yeah, and he got through that.
Yeah, I mean, there was a point in time where he was like, I think that was my last race, and he was crying, and I'm like, I can feel that, and I even didn't care for him at that moment. And then he made his triumphant return, and he got a bunch of what was it, in 2020? He got the 4 stage wins or something like that. And that was the same year where there was just no sprinters left in the field. Yeah. I'm like, okay, well,
and it wasn't picked for his team the next year.
Yeah. I mean, there's just different things, but for the guy to be out there still getting it done at 39 years old, racecraft or not, or having the athleticism or not, I mean, I can respect that. And I'm 10 years older than that guy. I'm like, all right, I like that. I mean, I wish he was 49 doing this kind of stuff, and it gives me something to inspire to. But
especially as a sprinter, like your career as a professional sprinter usually should be short.
Yeah,
right?
It's like a NFL running back.
That explosive power.
Exactly. You see these guys hang around for 3-4 years and then they're gone. But you've got this guy here that just seems like he's timeless and keeps doing it year after year. I'm like, God, how does he keep doing that?
What drugs is he on, and how do I get them?
And I, like everybody else wrote him off and said, there is no way this guy's going to get it done. No way. And I adamantly said there's no way to get this done. The sprint field is just way too strong this year.
Yeah.
Here we go.
And he had that underdog thing going, which most people can root for sure.
And I'm not gonna lie, I can appreciate that, and I can say that, all right, that was cool. Did I want to see him win it? No, because I think those number of stage wins that Eddie Merckx had is far more sacred than what Cavendish has done. Yes, it's incredible that this guy has had this, however long, what did you say, 16 years or
16 years.
That's fantastic to be able to be a sprinter and do it for that long. But you're winning stages that are relatively flat, and you've got to have these specialized guys to come out. And granted, he's a good wheel surfer, but you have to have the specialized lead out train that's built just for you. And a lot of things need to come into alignment, and it's not just purely you. There's a lot of people to help make that happen. Yes, he's a special sprinter, but he's now 35 stages deep, and he did that in 16 years. Eddie Merckx won 34 stages. A lot of it by himself. Granted, yes, it is a team sport, and you need your team to kind of help you out, but he did it in 6 years.
Right, but as we were just saying,
technology.
to counter that, as we were saying, each Tour de France of each 21 stage race has probably only got five or six sprint stages in. So to accumulate 35 wins over 16 tours, there was probably 16 times 5, 60 something.
Yeah, so opportunities are a lot more
Opportunities
sparse.
are smaller,
Yeah. And I can respect that. And you have to go for that long to make that happen. I get that. But still, I think that there's something to be said about, like, all right, Eddie Merckx, he was kind of a little bit of a hothead too. He was the cannibal. I mean, he was like, he was the man back in the day from the late 60s and the early 70s. That's saying something when you can win in so many different ways.
Yeah, he won time trials and hilly stages and mountaintop finishes and breakaways. And
we had Wout van Aert do this a few years ago. He won a sprint stage. He won a TT. He won a mountain stage. That is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, I put way more weight into that than I do somebody that can go out and win a sprint stage. Like, great, you won a sprint stage. That's cool. I mean, you won 35 of them, but I think there's something, I don't know, maybe it's like a purist in me. Like, there's much more to be said about the accomplishment of being able to do it.
I would say, you're looking at those two stats, I agree with you. They are very different. And I think that that's okay. It's still something that we can celebrate with Cav being greatest sprinter of all time.
Sure.
And would I love to see more of like an all-arounder do something similar, like a Wout or something like that? Heck yeah, that would be awesome to watch. But it's still, you know, we're not going to see that anytime soon. We're years and years away from seeing something else come around. Maybe Pogacar would be like a guy that could do that. How cool would that be? I would love to see that. Could he win a gravel stage? That'd be cool to watch. Obviously he can win some climbing stages, but it'd be cool to see someone that's a little bit more of an all-arounder come back into the high wins category.
They're
different.
Actually, just to be devil's advocate, I don't really like seeing one dominant rider. It kind
a little bit of parity makes it fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can totally relate, right? Like, when someone is that dominant, it's just not as much fun to watch.
Right.
Yeah. You want to know something funny? I was up at Lost Lake. Let's go back to that for 1 second. When you're up at Lost Lake, if you've been there before, you know what I'm talking about. There is nowhere to get Wi-Fi, and there's zero cell service. So you are disconnected unless you've got, like, you know, Starlink or something like that. You have nothing. And so what day did that happen? Was it on a Wednesday or was it Tuesday that he ended up winning it? Whenever it happened, I was still up in the mountains, completely disconnected. Nice. And we drive off the mountain and you kind of get into Hood River, and all of a sudden you have connection again. And then, like, my phone just like blew up, and like a million messages from all over things, but started to go through like, all right, let's get rid of some of these things. And I can't tell you how many things were in there, messages, posts, and everybody like doing the funny haha. Hey Jake, what do you have to say about this? Or I'm going to leave this right here for Jake. Or Jake, Cav, what, you jackhole? You know, it's just like so many gay people gave me crap about that, and you know what? It's well deserved. So
just set you pictures of Cav. Perfect.
Yep, I'll take it. So. Anyway,
the other story I was thinking about.
I'm out of here.
Okay.
Oh, Matt, you got one last thing? You got videos coming up? You got anything going on? Matt's got to go coach the cross country kids here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to talk about. There's some interesting stuff. There's like a story with Olympians swimming in the Seine River in Paris, which is questionable water quality. Oh. So I want to do a video about that, and that's hopefully going to come out next. And
did
then
their little thing
products coming out too?
Did their little thing with
They have this massive tank that they're trying to like basically take any additional runoff and collect it in a massive tank that they installed in Paris, like, which is also a crazy construction project. And that's like a whole story in itself. Water quality is still questionable. And it has to do with how much rain they get.
The president of France, wasn't he going to go show it?
The prime minister was supposed to swim with the mayor of Paris, and that was magically postponed.
They had this big thing, and this is hilarious if you haven't been following this. Everybody's pissed at him for this whole thing, and they're just saying it's not safe. And they had this like collective effort, and they have all of these like flow charts and everything where everybody was going to go take a dump in the river.
Yeah.
So that all of the poop converged on where he was going to be swimming at the same time.
There was an app that was made. It was like, if you poop in the river at this location at this time, it'll end up where the prime minister's going to be prime minister, and we're going to swim.
Oh my
gosh. And it got postponed, and then they're going through a whole elections process right now. So it's postponed again. It was postponed a second time. They're probably not going to get in that water. It's not clean. It's dangerous, and what's crazy is they have no plan B for these Olympic athletes. Like, there's no we'll go swim here and we'll do because it's like got your triathletes. They really have to have transition areas lined up and all this stuff. And it was all supposed to be in the historic district of Paris, and it's all a mess. Good. Yeah. It's all a poopy mess. All right,
crazy.
I gotta go.
Hey Matt, you got your sunscreen on?
I really don't, but I should. It's gonna be brutally hot today.
Yeah.
Matt, you guys be safe. Lube up the sunscreen when you guys go out riding in Indy.
Yes, sir.
Have a safe ride.
I just need a hand mirror and
yes, hand mirror it up, and we'll get you. We'll put Ian in charge of you lubing up for today.
And somebody bandage me as well. That'd be nice if somebody could place that.
Yeah.
Cool. Matt, wear those short shorts every week. It makes me happy.
All right, I'm on it.
Oh, hey, let's move on from Kev. That's a lot of Kev talk. What about Bimiam Gourmet? Do you think he will finish the stage wearing green?
Oh, he won again today, which means he just took another big jump in points, and I think he's leading that by quite a bit at this point. So freaking A, good for him. He could if he once he won that one stage and he realized he was in the green jersey, it kind of doubled down for him. So
gotcha.
Hey, we're gonna pause here for a minute.
We've got somebody here who's with us, and he's been a longtime listener. He's actually one of our Patreons too, and he's going to jump in and take Matt's spot. Would you like to introduce our special guest?
We've got John Hatfield here with us. We've done lots of races together. I think he's even been on the show before. Have you been on the show before?
Maybe bits and pieces. Where did Matt go? I don't understand.
He's got to go.
Matt was right here.
He's got to go coach cross country.
I'm going to go get him again. Matt, you belong in this seat. Come on.
Gotcha.
Matt had kids to go play with, so he's out. So we're subbing in John Hatfield for Matt.
Yeah,
so.
I tag teamed him out of there. John, welcome to the podcast. You want to just stay a little bit closer to that microphone when you talk, and we would love to have some of your input on this. Talking about Bimiam, anybody think he's not going to be in green?
Well, see, here's the thing. Bimiam did say that once he won the green jersey and realized he kind of had a shot for it, he is 100% in trying to defend it.
Yeah.
So would he have not tried quite as hard today? Or he's been sprinting for intermediate sprint points as well, just trying to get as many points as possible. Mm-hmm. So he's focused on
Who can take it away from him? Because wasn't the closest guy, wasn't that Peterson? And he didn't start.
You want to know who it is?
Go ahead. Phillipson.
Nope. You any other guesses?
No.
The champagne bottle. That's going to be who's going to take it away from him.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. That was a
very unfortunate. Yeah, he won his first stage a couple of years ago and was celebrating and went to cork the champagne, and the thing
it was in the
corked
Giro,
off.
I think.
It was in the Giro.
I thought it was the Tour.
It wasn't. It was in the Giro.
Oh, was it?
His first, It was his first stage win in the
wherever
in the
it was.
Tour
The cork hit him right in the eye, and he had to go to the hospital and abandon.
He had to drop out.
And
that was it. He didn't even finish. Right. He didn't even start the next day.
Gotcha. A couple other questions for you guys. What is or who is the biggest disappointment of the Tour to date, in your opinion? Any thoughts there? I'm going to throw out a name. Jasper Philipsen?
I was either thinking Philipsen or Roglic. He feels like Roglic has kind of lost a step. But
Roglic actually had a pretty good TT, and he hasn't crashed yet.
He has not crashed yet.
And they haven't gotten to the hills where he can shine. So like this early stuff is just more...
Yeah, I don't think you can say he's going to hang in the place is not bad. I mean,
no.
All right, I take it back. I was just trying to be controversial. But yeah, Philipsen, after winning 4 stages last year and just missing out on the Champs-Élysées win, to come in and take second twice, get relegated, cuss loudly on live air, and then he has just not been, and just got double passed by Bimiam.
You know what? And if there's a person that most of the peloton probably doesn't care for, can you think of anybody that people don't care for more than Jasper Philipsen? I mean, he pisses a lot of people off.
I was surprised. You know, that's been a theme of that Netflix documentary, that how unpopular he is.
Yeah. Jasper the Disaster. I mean, he's a great cyclist. I mean, he's a good one-day guy, too. I mean, he's proved that this year. He can sprint like crazy, but you have to kind of wonder a little bit if people are just like, let me just like drift over just a little bit and block this guy out, or not help him out in any way, shape, or form. So
you got to be really happy for Girmay. I mean, when winning a stage in the Tour.
Yeah.
If you watch his post-race interview, how he was just so happy for himself, for his country, for the entire African continent.
Yes.
Winning that stage. That was really inspiring.
It's beautiful.
Watching that, And you're right. He's going for it now. He has to. He's got the green. You look how hard he dug for that stage today. I mean, now he has 2 stage wins. He's in the green.
He has 216 points. Second place is Phillipson at the moment, who has 128 points. And interestingly enough, he would have had 198 points if he hadn't gotten relegated 2 stages ago. So he has almost a 90-point lead at this moment. Biniam Girmay does. Third is Abramson, who's not going to stay.
On those pure sprint stages, though, I think a win is 50 points.
Yeah.
So things could still change.
That'll be interesting to watch. I think that'll be good. So
yeah,
cool. Hey, Lance, did you order some new socks yet?
No.
No, you're not going.
How much are your next pair of socks going to cost?
Yeah, how much are you going to pay for that next pair of socks?
Okay, I did wear Aero socks on a couple of days on the gravel grinder. Those Aero socks are like $30 a piece, so they're spendy for Aero socks. But that
pales in comparison.
Pales in comparison to Mark Cavendish's 1,000-pound socks he was wearing.
Ian, what's the conversion?
€1,000 socks he was wearing.
What's the conversion factor on that in dollars?
1,000 quid is about $1,200 now. Yeah.
$1,200 for a pair of socks that he was wearing. What in the hell? That makes no sense.
Maybe if you buy 2, they'll give you 1 free, Lance. Your little BOGO thing there.
Hey, that was the difference, Lance. That was the
that's
difference.
why
and
he won.
You look at his return on investment there. I mean, 35 right there. That's because of those
that's
socks.
Right.
Don't doubt it.
Apparently the socks had like little chevron shapes right on the shin bone that are supposed to like peel the air a little bit better. It was made out of a different material.
Do you justify a pair of socks costing $1,200?
I bet the Phillipson, who was right behind him, was wearing like wool socks with hair hanging off of them.
How many pairs of socks do you think they sold after Cav won that stage?
I don't know. €1,000 socks. That's crazy.
Crazy. I got a few other questions for you. Jonas Vingegaard, looking decently good.
Decent.
He's not the Vingegaard of last year, but I think he's doing better than I thought he would. I mean, granted, we still need to get back into the mountains and have a few true mountain stages to see how he stacks up. How do you guys feel about Skeletor losing another 8 pounds?
Oh my gosh. I can't believe he had 8 pounds to lose.
Nobody can believe that.
So
it's insane. He's already exceeded my expectations. I mean, you look at what Pogačar did in the Giro, right? Mm-hmm. And you look at think about it. You're Vingegaard. You're sitting on the couch. You're watching it. You're watching this happen. Mm-hmm. What do you think must have been going through his head when Pogačar was in pink for all except a single day of the Giro?
I would have been a little bit happy, but I would have been bummed out. But at the same time, I'm like, why is he going even harder? He's got a big enough cushion where he's not going to lose this thing. Keep doing that. Keep going hard.
He just wanted to put it away. But you look at it from Vingegaard's perspective. He's just gotten out of the hospital.
Sure.
He was in the hospital, 14 days?
Something like that. Yeah, it was a while.
And then he couldn't even train for a while.
Yep.
Correct.
And I guess he lost
8 pounds. Now,
when Pogačar went on that third day, I think it was the day into Bologna. Mm-hmm. I think it was the day into Bologna. And Vingegaard went right with him
and stuck with him.
The entire. I mean, he stayed. I was just looking at it like, how is this possible? How is it absolutely? It doesn't make any sense that he should have been able to stay with Pogačar at that point, and he did. So I don't know. I mean.
When we get to the mountains, I mean, first and foremost, the time trial, I mean, he held his own. He kind of stayed in there. He wasn't too far off. He didn't lose too much time to Pogačar. And that's the race of truth. But the mountain,
25 seconds to Pogačar in the time trial.
All things considered, that's not terrible.
Yeah.
But when we get to the mountains, how is he going to hold up?
It's Pogačar's race to lose.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. But if he falters, if he crashes, if he flats at the wrong time, if any one of those things that can happen in bike racing is going to happen. If it happens to Pogačar, obviously Evan Pool's right there too. But Vingegaard has a shot still.
Sure,
I would say
yeah.
I don't think it's real high percentage, but he could win again.
Yeah,
I think it should be inspiring to a lot of athletes that
Absolutely.
It just shows you, and if you have that incredible strong base of fitness, a few weeks off, you don't go back to zero. And he was so strong. I mean, he was winning races right before this crash.
Yes,
and so
crushing races. Yeah,
right at the moment, it looks like he's missing the very top end of his power, the very staying power, like over the top of the Galibier. You could see that last 1%.
But Ian, in the Galibier, he was okay. He fell off right at the top, but he only went over the top of the Galibier 4 or 5 seconds behind.
8 seconds.
It was on the descent.
That's what I mean. It's that
the
0.5% of his fitness that he's lost. The peak of it. And
Pogacar is just so good at so many things. One of which is going downhill. And he was able to put everybody away on that
35 seconds more on just the descent.
I would have put good money on the fact that they would have started the tour and Tade would have come out swinging hard to really try and bury Jonas as much as he possibly could. But it seems like he kind of kept it somewhat reeled in. I mean, he put a few digs in there and he came out of the first week with the yellow jersey, but I thought they would have put it to him a lot more. Granted, Jonas did a good job of holding on to his wheel, but with Jonas, every week that goes by, I think he's going to be, quote unquote, racing himself into better shape. And I think that they should have done more to try and expose him early on to A, find out more about what he has under the hood, but B, like, this is when you want to put the time into him because he's going to just get a little bit stronger as the tour goes on.
So that's the question. It seems like Vingegaard is going to improve and get stronger as the tour goes on. So by the third week of those last 5 days, is he going to be firing on all cylinders? Whereas Pogacar, after doing the Giro, is he going to be getting just a little worse as the tour goes on?
I mean, I don't think so. It's possible, but Pogacar he's one of a kind.
He's one of a kind.
Pogacar is truly one of a kind.
And on paper, I mean, you're not going to be better than UAE this year with the team-wise. Right. I mean, he's going to have the support. It's not that Lisa Bike has got a bunch of sleps on there, but just comparing apples to apples, I think UAE still has a stronger team, and they've got the strongest rider. It's theirs to lose.
What's been lost in the 8-pound loss by Vingegaard is that Pogacar has lost 2.5 kilos since the Giro himself.
Wow.
So
2.5 kilos?
Yeah, so that's 6 pounds.
That's over 5 pounds.
Yeah. So he's lost some weight too, just since the Giro.
Roglic was looking super skinny.
I don't know what
on the TT bike
numbers on
yesterday.
Him. But pretty crazy.
Well, that's that'll be fun to watch. I think that we've got a lot of cool things left with GC.
Yeah, don't count Roglic out either.
No.
I mean, the thing is that he doesn't have that top end. He can't stay with those guys in the very high mountains, I don't think. But he's so crafty. He's so clever at winning races, at knowing exactly when to go and when to preserve. I mean, I don't think Roglic is going to win, but his name is still in the ring. For
sure.
He could.
Roglic is a minute 36 back from Pogacar. He's in fourth at the moment. Vingegaard is a minute 15 back. So let's talk about
Evenepoel.
Let's talk about Evenepoel. Remco is in second, only 33 seconds back.
So he's made it through as much in the TT as he was hoping to, but he won it.
And he's made it a whole week through a Grand Tour without an issue.
A difficult week as well, including sustained climbs up the Galibier. I think, he's definitely, in my mind, he's the man to watch. If he can get through that last week in the mountains without having a bad day, without cracking, and if he's within a minute of Pogacar on the final time trial, then watch out.
This is also his first Tour de France. Yeah. He already has a stage win. I think he is way beyond expectations what he has done so far, that he is sitting in second place at this moment. So is he going to crack like he has in all his other previous Grand Tours?
Tomorrow is the gravel stage.
Tomorrow's the gravel stage. That's a good point.
I see him cracking at some point in time. I mean, that's kind of been his MO. Granted, this is his first tour, and he wants to do well, and he's, for all intents and purposes, he is doing well. And
he's 24.
Yeah.
He's still young.
And the guy can straight throw down on the TT bike. I mean, he's the world champion.
Correct.
And so I kind of expected him to win. That's why I picked him for that particular stage. So I don't see him doing much more. I don't see him maybe the last TT at the end of the race. That could make things interesting. But, what's going to happen with Jonas and Tade there? Or how are they going to be thrown down? Are we going to have Tade way out in front and he doesn't really care? And or
have you
is
guys
Jonas going
noticed-
to have a superhuman performance?
I'm
again?
going to say the way the standings right now is going to be the order in Nice as well.
gonna stay that way?
That's
Yeah.
my prediction.
What were you
Have
going
you
to say, John?
guys noticed kind of a change in attitude in Evan Pohl in this race? It seems like he's not quite as cocky or
He's biting his tongue a little bit.
I think he is. It was interesting after the TT. They asked him and he said, I can't remember the exact words, but it was something effective. Yes, I'm happy to win this. I have this win. I'm happy to have wins in each of the Grand Tours now. But he was talking about being on the podium at the end of the race, not winning, not being in yellow at the end in Nice.
Yeah, he does feel like he's kind of calmed down a little bit. Maybe it's just being around some of these like true professionals that have that demeanor and have that swagger about them. And maybe he's kind of maturing a little bit and seeing, or maybe somebody's like, hey, dude, just chill out, just go race your bike and let your legs do the talking.
Maybe he's letting Cav rub off on him a little bit now. Cav's attitude later in life.
But it was kind of cool seeing him before the start of the TT. He was walking up to the stage or getting ready to go start, and he walked by Pogača and he, good luck, and gave him the fist bump and stuff like that. So that was kind of cool to see. I know that we've kind of loved to hate him a little bit early on, but
absolutely
we'll see what happens with that kid. I don't feel like he's quite got it yet for the mountains. He almost looks like he's a little bit too thick.
He looks thinner than he has in the past.
Do you think so?
He looks like he's lost some baby fat, like he's matured a little bit to me.
Okay,
anyway.
well, maybe. We'll see. He just looks a little bit more muscular than I would expect from a GC guy, so I'm not quite sure if I don't even know what he weighs. I can be completely wrong. There are some people that can carry a little bit of extra muscle mass and still climb relatively well, and they're able to overcome the watts per kilogram thing.
The thing we haven't talked about is the teams to which they belong. Like, Evenepoel doesn't seem to have the support of his team. I shouldn't say that. He has the support, but his team are not as strong. Roglič's team is not as strong around him. Visma Lisa Bike is not
what they
having their
are.
best tour.
Yeah.
And by contrast, UAE are looking amazingly strong.
Yeah.
Incredible. They did a massive job on Galibier. So it's hard to see around another Pogačar victory in my mind, mostly because of the strength of UAE, I would say.
All right. Two more quick questions for me. We're getting a little long on this. We're probably going to have to wrap up here pretty soon. First question, do you think people are still upset at Groenewegen?
I think that ship has sailed.
Do you think so?
I mean, it's been 4 or 5 years.
I think it was 2020 when he took out...
4 years. He took out...
Jakobsen.
Yep, Fabio Jakobsen. He won a stage. And,
he won a stage.
And there wasn't too much scuttlebutt about that. It was kind of nice to see that calm down a little bit.
It was kind of love for him. So he caused this...
A lot of that was the nose-fairing sunglasses.
I was going to ask you...
that was rather amusing.
I was going to ask Lance if he's got those on order too.
Weird, man. But so are the time trial helmets, which are way freaking faster, and they look like,
Spaceballs.
Spaceballs. They do. They look ridiculous.
Okay.
But Groenewegen, he caused that crash in 2004 at the Tour of Poland that almost killed Jakobsen.
Yep.
He kind of split Jakobsen's face open.
Lost almost all of his teeth.
Yep.
Fractured skull.
It was a big thing. He actually was he was suspended for like 9 months.
9 months,
He was suspended for 9 months because of causing that crash. Vilified. He got death threats. It was a big thing. So to see him turn around and actually win a stage, and there's not much hate for it.
Yeah.
I think is a good thing.
And if you haven't seen him, if you haven't seen the glasses that he's wearing, go look up Groenewegen, and check out these glasses he's got on. This nose fairing, it's pretty funny.
The nose is completely covered. I mean, Phillipson is wearing something similar, but it doesn't look as goofy as the one that
maybe he's trying to protect from skin cancer.
Yeah, that's what I was originally thinking, but then they started talking about the aerodynamics of it.
Smart. Is aerodynamics not good, or is it
everything? Yep.
Or it is an aero advantage, the nose fairing?
Yeah, that and his socks.
They're going to be wearing freaking face fairings pretty soon. It's just like a breathing hole, and your whole helmet, your whole face is covered.
Yeah. Oh, quick bonus question before we get to the final question. What are the odds of Primoz crashing next week? Does Primoz Roglic crash next week?
78%.
78%. Ian?
I don't want to crash.
50% for sure. I would be surprised if not one of the 4 favorites has
Gravel
missed
stage
out.
tomorrow, maybe? Yeah. How about
I
you,
hope not.
John?
I think he's going to stay upright.
Upright?
I really
Okay.
do. I mean, I might be wrong, but I like Primoz. He's just such a fun racer. He's just such a fun guy to
Good
watch.
sportsman. He's a good guy.
Sportsman.
Easy to
And
like. So
I don't know. Maybe he'll go down, but it'd be fun if my hope is that whether it's Roglic or Evenepoel or Vingegaard, that somebody makes this race interesting.
Yeah,
right? That somebody stays there to the end, so that even if Pogačar has a good lead at the end, that there's still some chance that somebody uncorks a TT at the end of the race in Nice that there's a chance that somebody else gets
There's no ceremonial procession this year.
Right.
The
Right.
last
There's no
stage.
champagne.
Nope. The last stage is an individual time trial. We haven't had that since 1986 in Lorient Fignon or 89. Was it 89?
didn't we do it in 2020? And then
No, it was 86 where they had a time trial
No, that was
into the shop.
89.
in 2020,
That
did they
was
finish on the
Greg
Champs?
LeMond. That
I
was
know
Greg
that they had
LeMond.
that last TT right towards the end. Was that the second to last race and they still went to the Champs? Okay.
Correct. So there will still be drama on the last day.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot more interesting, to
If
be honest with you.
Remco was within 30 seconds, he's got a shot.
Yeah.
So
That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
For the record, I don't think the Primoz is going to go down next week. I'm going to pull for him. I want to see. I want to see him keep rubber side down, and I want to see him make it competitive. Last question, unless you guys have something beyond that: does Tade wear yellow for the rest of the tour?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say.
I don't see there anything
After the Galibier stage, I wasn't talking to you guys, but I was talking to the friends. I don't see him losing the yellow now.
Okay. Follow up question to that: is that the kiss of death? The Dial podcast unanimous? You're going to wear yellow to the end?
Oh yeah, they all listen to us. They're
Just
tuning
saying,
in
I'm
every
going
night
on the
before
record.
they go to bed.
I'm going on the record.
No, it's only the kiss of death if Ian calls in and says that Pogačar is going to wear yellow to the end.
Awesome. You guys have anything else you want to talk about the tour? We're getting a little long here. Just want to make sure that we cover all the bases. Anything that we missed?
No, it's good.
Yeah.
It's been super fun to watch.
It's been a really
engaging.
fun
Yeah.
first week. And
Sure.
I'm looking forward to the last two.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, let's jump into one last thing. I'm going to start with John. You got one last thing you want to jump on? Ian, Lance, anybody got something to give everybody else a second to think about things and stuff? And yeah, no.
Go ahead, John.
Oh, I was just gonna say, there's I haven't been I've been racing somewhat. I've not as much as Lance for sure, but did a few gravel races this early season, Grand Fondo, that kind of thing.
Sure.
There is one more. There's a gravel race coming up with a Sasquatch.
Duro
down in Oak Ridge, July 27th, I believe is the date.
Yep.
It'd be fun to get a good group down there. I guess Lance is not going to be in town then, but
Is that a mudslinger event?
I know if you.
It is.
Okay.
It is the last mudslinger.
Sweet.
Mudslinger race. Yeah. So it'd be great to get a few of us down there. I'm planning to go down. I know of at least a couple other teammates that are going to be there. So
Sweet. Yeah, go support them. Cool. Ian, you got one last thing?
No, well, more on that theme. I think if you look on the local OBRA calendar,
Race calendar, yeah.
there's still a whole bunch of things coming up. So hopefully we'll have a lot of teammates out there. Hopefully there'll be a lot of people showing up for these events. You know, as a former promoter myself, it's I'm always cheering on these events and hoping them to be a success. So we've got a series of actually now 3 left of the Red R criterium that's happening. We have PIR Tuesday nights coming up.
In short track.
There's the Bend Criterium Masters Championships.
Sweet.
And
weren't you supposed to be racing right now, but they canceled a race?
Yeah, there's supposed to be a race this morning.
today was going to be Kings Valley Road Race.
yeah.
Too bad that didn't happen. And also tomorrow's crit as well is
canceled.
not happening.
Got triple-digit temperatures here in the Pacific Northwest, which is bonkers. But canceled the races. But yeah, go
good,
support.
good for me. I'm not in race shape at all, and I was not looking forward to suffering again in Kings Valley.
Try and put Kings Valley back on the calendar for this year?
Yeah, no,
I think
Travis is looking at
other dates
earlier, like
Next
spring.
year.
Oh, so
next
just
year.
Done for this year, not trying
he
to put
said
something
he
in
looked
for the
at
fall.
the calendar and there was nothing available for the rest of the
Yeah,
year.
so it's going to be on next spring. I think next 2025 is going to look awesome for racing in the Pacific Northwest.
It'll probably be like 38 degrees and
Yeah.
jumping down.
Dude,
rain, for
that Kings Valley race, it has had weather trouble since day one.
Yeah.
It's either 30 degrees and pissing rain, or it's 104 degrees today.
Yeah, and did they lay down new tarmac the last time they had it?
Yes.
So it was like
It was
super
just
black
like
and it was like crazy
a
hot.
third of the course was just was
Sticky.
brand new tarmac, and it was 102 degrees for
The ambient temperature is 102. So just imagine what that asphalt temperature was.
You could feel it melting under your tires. You literally could.
Hepler, one last thing.
I don't have anything. We do have our short track series that is finally coming back after like 3 years. It starts on Monday. So far, that has not been canceled, even though it's still supposed to be over 100 degrees here on Monday.
Yeah, they extended the heat advisory through the 9th. And as we record this, today is the 6th. So we had a few more days of this.
But a short track race is what? 45 minutes.
45 minutes.
They normally are 30 minutes, and
Okay.
he has changed them this year to 45 minutes.
Okay.
But yes, it's only 45
But it's a little
minutes.
different than getting a bunch of volunteers out on a course in Kings Valley. And
But when it's
it is.
trying to
102, 103,
for
and you're
for a
going,
3-hour
you're on the
race or
rivet
whatever.
for 45
2.5.
minutes, and you're sucking down that dust and that heat. Oh my gosh, that's just miserable. And like you really question your life decisions in the middle of the race when it's over. Like, okay, I can't wait to come do this again. But yeah, good luck to everybody. Stay cool, bring extra water, get yourself wet, and then you'll be the muddy mess. Can make for some good pictures. Yeah, cool. My one last thing. Hey, Lance.
Yeah.
Do we have a new ride that might be coming up? A new little race? A new little thing that we might be putting on the calendar that you and I have kind of been checking out?
Jake and I have been searching for a local practice crit that we could do on the weekdays at some point.
For a lot of people that are into the crit racing scene, jump on the YouTubes, you watch some stuff, and I've always enjoyed watching the guys from NorCal Cycling, the little race videos that they put on from the crits. But what's been really fun is watching the Alviso. So I'm like, we need to have something like that here that we can go out and just have some fun, like a weekly go out, kind of get after it kind of thing on a little bit shorter of a course, and let people come out there and experience some of that. And it's a good opportunity for us to take some of the youngers out and teach them some of the nuances of bike racing and positioning and, how to attack and break away and all their stuff. I've been talking about wanting to do something like this for a couple of years now, but we just have not been able to find a good spot. Lance and I, we may have stumbled on something.
We found a spot. We may be able to do it.
It's safe. There is one short section of the road that's a little rough, but we're like, well, it's not that bad. It's not something we can't go out there with a bag of asphalt and patch and tamp down and make it smooth. Just try and make it a little bit. And even if we didn't, even if we didn't fix it, it's still not the end of the world. But I think that we might have something up our sleeves. Working on the naming of it. There's some preliminary leaders and some stuff. So I guess the moral of the story is stay tuned. We might be announcing something here.
It's flat. It's a 2.5 mile lap. It's dead flat.
Yep.
So we could actually possibly pull something off. It's not a high traffic area.
Can you make it a sanctioned race, or is it just
No, that's not the point of it. Is to make it a practice race.
But if somebody wanted to make it a sanctioned race, if it goes off well, let's do a couple of dry runs. We're like, hey, you know what? This might actually work and be something. We could potentially look at something, make something work.
There's one corner that might be hard for a sanction race coming back on to the busier road.
Sort of, but they have races out there all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
And it wouldn't be hard to have a flagger there just to stop traffic for a moment.
Is it completely flat?
It's 100% flat.
Kind of
no, John, you have no shot.
I'm not
now,
gonna show up.
depending upon the time of the year, the time of the day, and all that other stuff, wind could be a factor. So wind and hills, I mean, they kind of give you the same little thing going on there. But it could be a lot of fun, and I'm kind of curious to see if it could be something. We just have to figure out like what day of the week, what time. I don't want to step on the shootout's toes, and we can't have every single ride that we put out there be some like on the rivet, go hard, kill yourself, flog yourself.
We have 2 very hard rides
during the week. Anyway, stay tuned. Could be fun. Cool. Anything else, boys?
That's it.
Hey,
Let's go riding.
You know what? Let's go ride bikes. Good. All right. We do appreciate you listening. We will be back next week with another one of these. And until then, bye for now.
Against attack from Alexander Kristoff, Coquard got into the day's early break with 19 other riders. He took the 20 points at the intermediate sprint after 61 kilometres, stuck around to do a turn on the early slopes of the Tourmalet, and that was pretty much his job done for the day.